You're listening to Coffee, Chaos, and ProdSec. I'm one of your hosts, Kurt Hendel, battle-tested security architect with a zero trust worldview, and I don't go anywhere near the mic without my co-host Cameron Walters, the AppSec and DevSecOps legend, trying to automate the world. As always, we're turning real-world security chaos into conversations that matter. So grab your coffee and let's get into it. Today, by popular demand, I guess, we're taking on the topic of breaking into ProdSec again. We did it once. I don't think we did it justice.
Well,
We got
different
some
angle.
feedback.
We're going at a
We're
different
gonna
angle.
take a new angle on it today. So if you're serious about getting into security without a degree or relevant experience, you're about to get the truth. But first, do us a solid 5 stars, subscribe, like, smash the smash, to quote my good friend here. And yeah, let's do it. So, Cameron, breaking into ProdSec, where do we even start?
This is an interesting perspective, especially to go after what we previously talked about. As you mentioned, we got some feedback. So some friends, some listeners reached out to us and wanted a different perspective, right? And the premise of this is getting into ProdSec without a degree or relevant experience. I know me and you, we've been just texting nonstop about this. I've been listening to podcasts, researching, trying
Yep.
to understand and get a best kind of like holistic view picture of what's the landscape, what's the best advice we can get, how can we make sure that somebody who's going through this arduous and very difficult journey to be successful. It's a tough one today. I think
Yeah.
we've got a tough challenge today.
Well, I mean, this is part of what we do, though, is find different perspectives, listen to different perspectives, gather all the intel we possibly can. We're both hiring managers, we're leaders, and we talk to people like this all the time. So understanding the different perspectives and backgrounds and all the things that really build people up into these unique perspectives and skill sets. I mean, we're doing it all the time. So I think it's in the wheelhouse. It's just that we don't get to do this enough, and it's going to make for an interesting conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, especially my team, right? Like being a director right now of application security and security engineering, when I joined this team, it was really a team of, I think there were 2 to 3 of us. And I filled that team out. My AppSec team's around 13 people or 11 people, 11 people. And then I have a security engineering team, and I've done some interviews on that team too. So I love what you're saying about the different perspectives. I've talked with so many people. I've looked at hundreds. I'm probably hitting thousands of resumes, right? I've
Yeah.
had at least hundreds of interviews, both myself and going through them myself, as well as giving tons of them. I get a lot of good feedback on my interviews, at least from the people who are interviewing. Are like, that interview was mentally exhausting. Wasn't difficult, just thought process. So yeah, the whole process of
Different.
hiring, yeah, different. The whole process of hiring and going through that is, for one, probably just one of the most stressful and just aggravating processes in general, trying to get a job. It's brutal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. Um,
Well,
I,
before we go there,
yeah.
we've got caffeine business to talk about.
Oh, snap. Okay. I'll go first. I'll go first.
So what's in the cup?
All right. So, because we're recording earlier, right? Normally we record our episodes every Friday afternoon, late afternoon. This one's a Monday after work, right? We're done with our work. It's a Monday night, and I know you probably got something different, but I grabbed a splash of coffee, so about I would say half a cup, put some peppermint syrup in that, and then filled that sucker up with some creamer or oat milk, and that's kind of what
Nice.
I'm drinking right now. Yeah.
Well, I've got the full experience, although a smaller cup. It's the same cup with less, I should say. But it's cold brew. Again, it's my go-to Stoke cold brew, slightly sweetened. Throw in the half and half. Tastes a bit like coffee ice cream. So get the energy level up. It's after a mentally exhausting day.
Yeah. Yeah. Mondays are always hard. I think a lot of people, I don't know, this is how I always describe my weeks from a leadership perspective. And tell me if you resonate with this, all right? Mondays is usually the chaos of the day, right? Like the coffee and the chaos and the ProdSec. It really sums up the podcast. Monday's the chaos day because everybody's come back and we're a global company. So by the time we get on, we're like the last set of people getting on. You know, for my
Yeah.
team, my India team got on first, and then Prague, and then it's US. So by the time I get on, like when I wake up at 8, I'm petting a bunny and I'm reading emails and reading Slack messages while I'm hanging out with my pet bunnies in the morning before I actually get online because I've already got a mountain of questions. And so Mondays are usually just this day of chaos and trying to knock out all the communications, set up the week, dude. And then what? Tuesday's like the prep day, getting the week going. And that's usually a pretty calm day. Wednesdays is usually the information day. I don't know if you feel this way, but tell me. Are Wednesdays like the day when everybody tells you about like the stats of the week? That's when you have like, or your cross department meetings where you talk about what's going on. But everybody, like, I have so many meetings on Wednesdays, not that, I have a couple that are just cross department ones, and they always land on Wednesdays. And I always think that's funny, but it makes sense because Monday and Tuesday is like prepping for that Wednesday meeting. And then Thursday and Friday is prepping for like next week's meeting again.
Yeah, it depends. Like I had a quieter Monday for once. It's
Hmm.
weird. So I was actually spending a lot of time trying to do work today because outside of 6+ hours of meetings a day, still have a job and got to find time to do it. So I managed to find time to do some of the more administrative things that I've been putting off and whatnot. So it's a it's a non-standard Monday. It typically similar experience, I think. Um, I generally feel like my Tuesdays and Wednesdays are just pure chaos all the time, like nonstop meetings. People are coming with problems. They want guidance. They want to throw a compliance requirement in someone's face. Like, I don't know. They want me to punch someone in the head. I don't, people, they want me to join the chaos and join the fight and clean up the mess. And that's a pretty typical week. And by Thursday, it's like, I don't know, I block a lot of time on Thursday because that's where I'm like, okay, I got to wrap stuff up for the week and do the work and get through whatever meetings I do have on the calendar so that I can wind down on Friday and go into a weekend and enjoy 2 days of different chaos because I have a 4-year old at home. So similar, slightly different.
Yeah. It's
I
kind of
don't
where I'm
know.
at.
I've always kind of been okay with Monday. People are like, "How's it going?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's Monday, whatever." And then Tuesday comes around, and I'm just like, "I hate this day."
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, you're giving me the honest truth, and I think that leads into the real part of what we're trying to discuss today.
Yeah,
The real honest truth about what you're trying to do without a degree or relevant
yeah,
experience. You are going through an arduous mountain to climb. I don't think it's
yeah.
impossible. I just think it's a mountain.
I think any career pivot is hard, right? Like,
Yeah.
just plainly stated, it's hard.
Yeah.
But for some reason, security, ProdSec, just cybersecurity in general, it feels like this industry tries to make it even harder.
It feels like there's a lot of gatekeeping.
Yeah. And I know you and I don't agree with that. And I mean, I told a story on a previous episode about how one of the best threat models I've ever seen was done by a former math teacher.
Yeah.
And it was surprising. And I'm actually really happy I had that experience that the engineering leader who I worked with at the time took a chance on that person because they clearly they had the mentality and the know-how to figure it out. And I wish we could see more of that in this industry because there's probably so much untapped potential out in the world. But the gatekeeping and I know everyone makes jokes like, oh, all the entry level security positions, it's got a 3 to 5 year minimum requirement. Like, I just came out of school. How am I supposed to have 5 years of experience? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Well, I think you're hitting on one of the big topics we wanted to talk about first was that right now the industry is insanely difficult. It is
It's
insanely
terrible.
difficult for even seasoned vets. It's so like these people who are trying to get in, it's insane, right? Yes, there's probably some AI factor. There's the just the economy, right? We're hearing about layoffs like crazy. So any
Yeah.
job posting is immediately getting flooded and you have a lot of competition. This isn't the market, I would say 3 to 4 years ago. This is a completely different beast. I have no idea what's going on or how it's going to land or where it's going to go. All I know is that it is difficult out there. And anybody setting out on this journey and applying today, you have to understand and grit your teeth. And I would say have a little, some kind of mental toughness, fortitude, something that
Yeah.
that's the world that you're kind of living in right now. Where I was listening to another, I listened to a lot of Primogen because he's just got a lot of fun, good takes. And he published a video a couple of days ago on this. He was reviewing somebody's YouTube video where they were like, I have a physics degree. Somebody took a chance on me, and I became a developer. Was a developer for 3 years. Whatever reason they lost their developer job, and now they're trying to find another job. And it's been like 8 months of applying for them, and I was like, dang, developer field in general is usually like what 10 to 100 times the size of cybersecurity professional field, right?
Yep.
And even devs with experience are having a difficult time. I know his story had some nuances to it, so if anybody's listening and listen to his story, there are some other nuances there, but the mentality is there. The mentality is that it is hard out there in general for everybody on what's going on, right? Depending on your story, dude, it is rough.
Yeah. I mean, we had a big boom in the early 2020s where hiring went crazy, and it was like, you got dev experience, you got a job. Or there's more security jobs than there are people, you get a job. And interviews were just coming like crazy, and now it's like radio silent. Everyone I know that's looking is just like, what is happening right now? It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, yeah. To quote
And
me, it's bananas.
it's bananas. I mean, I quote you, you don't have to quote you got to say it.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, what we're trying to say here, right, is that it's going to be a difficult journey while you move through this and essentially do that career pivot.
Yeah, there's no buts about it. It's going to be difficult, but you know what? Keep your head up, because the difficulty is often something that weeds people out, right? Like,
Mhm.
if you go full force ahead, have the determination, the grit, just don't quit, don't give up, because at some point you will succeed. It just takes time.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
even for us, right? Like, when I broke back into security, I kind of started in security, left it, took a weird winding path, and then had a conversation in the kitchen in the office in Chicago. And next thing I know, I had an interview, and that's where I went full on back into the world of cybersecurity. Like, it finds you at the weirdest times, it seems.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing I wanted to tell everybody before we go to the next segment was really that it this what you are embarking, the only time you quote unquote like lose or quit is when you truly stop trying. Like that is the only time you have failed, right? You might maybe not succeed in interviews, but if you get an interview, whatever happens, you are going to get better every interview. Every experience you go through is going to make you better. The only time you truly have failed is when you stop trying. It is a mountain. And as I tell my team literally all the time, you are climbing a mountain. You are taking one step, maybe a day or a week. And that is going to feel paralyzing because in the moment, you're going to feel that there is no progress. but in 6 months, you're going to be halfway up that mountain and you're going to be like, whoa, a lot. I moved that needle. But in the moment in your life, when you're moving that needle, it is often indistinguishable and paralyzing in ways. So, as someone who took me, when I was applying for jobs and trying to get my first job, I applied to, I believe it was like 600 positions. It was insane. I got 5 interviews from that. And the only reason I got a job was from a friend whose dad was hiring and took a chance. Right. And so and that was back, many years ago, back when the career, there was a lot more opportunities. So it is a mountain and you can climb it. So, but one of the big things that I didn't learn and that I tell people today, branding, personal branding.
Yes. Well, I mean, they don't teach you this in school.
Like
No one
kinda,
comes.
kinda.
I
Indirectly. No
feel,
one tells you it as clear as what we're gonna say.
yeah, true. I'm thinking back, like this is a long time ago at this point. I'm surprised I can even remember college. Um, but I didn't have any coaching or whatever that said build a personal brand, like make yourself unique and stand out in a way, and you can basically speak to that, right? It wasn't until I was much further along in my professional life where people were like, "You should have a brand," and I was like, "What are you talking about? I'm not selling anything. I'm just writing code, man." And it finally clicked when I kind of moved up the ladder rung. Like, okay, well, I bring a unique perspective, and I need to be able to basically socialize and sell that to people, right? So we're all unique in a different way. Our experiences make us unique. Build a brand and what you bring to the table and tell that story. Or better yet, demonstrate it, because that's what interviews are for.
Yeah, like if back when I was a dev, I was told all the time to code on my GitHub, right? To code on my GitHub and then link that in my GitHub, and that's another essentially quote unquote part of your
Yeah,
resume. And
so
so
a portfolio.
yeah, it's a portfolio. It's kind of what somebody can click through and get a better understanding of you. So you could be doing amazing, crazy, awesome things, and nobody knows about it because you don't have no brand. So you might as well be essentially you're invisible. You
Yep.
are another name on another piece of paper, and so you have to make yourself distinct from that. And you have to build your brand, right? And is that it could be a number of different things, right? You could have a blog. So you could have a
Yeah,
blog and start writing about whatever, promote it, and then start to promote it on LinkedIn. There's a lot of good ways to promote on LinkedIn and get, at least you're putting yourself out there. So when somebody comes to your LinkedIn page, there's something to look at and go on. And I would tell you here as a hiring manager, if there's a LinkedIn page or a LinkedIn link, I click on it. If there's a GitHub page,
absolutely.
I click on it immediately. It's one of the first things and easiest things you can go look at somebody that's like not on their resume. I can go look at something a lot more interesting and a lot more what's going on. So you have to view whatever you put clickable hyperlink on your resume as your brand. So blogs, GitHub, LinkedIn on your GitHub, have your personal projects, show your progress, show the grind, right? Show what you build. You shouldn't, and it shouldn't just be code on there. It can be documentation, right? GitHub, you can upload practically anything. So you could have notes there, you could have sections, you could have contextual breakdowns, you could have project plans on how you built it and why you built whatever you built. What was your plan? All kinds of different things. You could build it and have some kind of structure there that really demonstrates all the effort that you were working on.
Yeah, I mean, I think I value things like that more than I do resumes. Just being honest. When someone comes in for an interview, or I take their application and I want to interview them, if they link a blog and I go read it and see some of the interesting stuff that they've worked on or have posted about, and I start hearing what their thoughts are. Like, I care about what you think. I want to know what you think. I want to know how you think. That's We're going to talk about that and dig into it in the interview. But if I can get some of that insight up front, then it gives me something to talk about, and it just makes for a more interesting conversation. Gets me interested, so that now we're going to have a productive discussion and go further. Whereas if all you get is a piece of paper that's a resume with a name and a bunch of stuff on it, you're like, this is all I have to go on. Um, and then you spend 5-10 minutes trying to kind of build that rapport and start the conversation. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, interviews are hard. You can't always win, and it's you got to be compatible to some degree.
Yeah. And as you build your personal brand, I know for me, I'm intrinsically an introvert. So often
Same.
yeah, I mean, like going and doing a podcast, we have to give presentations all the time and do all these different things. I have built the internal persona of my extrovert Cameron, and I agree that it is mentally exhausting and terrifying.
Yeah.
When I'm going before a presentation, even in front of my peers, dude, I'm nervous, palm sweating. Usually I have to do stand sitting desk. So I stand up, do some jumping jacks, do some, calm breathing, and then get myself in the right mental state for this. And then I know it's going to be okay. And if it doesn't, it's going to be okay either way. Right. So you are going to have to learn to practice those skills because you're going to need those skills when you're working. There's no, we are human beings, and human beings are collective social creatures. There's
Yeah.
going to be no job in your world where you aren't going to have to converse. And getting good at practicing that intro or extrovert is only going to actually make your career 10 times better. And we have many few more segments, and that's going to lead into some other things. But you're going to have to learn to communicate and have that ability to maybe not be, you don't have to be crazy outgoing, but you're gonna have to be able to strike up a conversation and kind of show off your personal brand in whatever form that you kind of go by.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't say it better myself. I'm also an introvert. I don't like to make small talk at all. Anyone who knows me is like, you're going to say 3 words and be quiet. And I'm like, well, I'll talk more. I'll ease into it. Right. In a business setting, for me, it's actually much easier because talking about what I know and do every day. And so the expertise flares and it's much easier to talk about. Whereas if you're making small talk and you don't necessarily know the person, you're kind of like poking and prodding and trying to find that common ground. Right. Whereas when I go into the presentations with my peers and leaders, it's I get nervous and I usually take a few deep breaths and I'll turn some music on, like get the energy going. And so I'm amped when it's my turn to go. It's like I want to bring the energy. I want people to be excited about what I'm talking about because I'm excited about it. And if I just drone on, people are gonna be like, all right, this is a snooze fest. Move on already. Right. So
When you said drone on, I was thinking about something which is, from a leadership perspective, one of the big things that we kind of think we constantly get told over and over is you are not supposed to be the smartest person in the room, and it's never
nope.
about being the smartest person in the room. So the biggest advice I could give to anybody at any level in their career, when you are conversing with other people, if you start to notice that you are trying to be the smartest person in the room, flex that your importance because maybe you feel maybe you have a lack of confidence or something, right along those lines, imposter syndrome. You are already in that room. You are in that meeting. And so because you are in that room and in that meeting, everything you have to say already has value. You
Yep.
were there because somebody said this person has value. So it's no longer you need to prove your worth. The only thing you have to do is contribute in a meaningful way in that conversation. So, and I say this because I have to say this to myself all the time. I'll get pulled into meetings where it's like, VPs or, board members, something along those lines. For some reason, you feel intimidated, right? These are people who are your
Yeah.
boss, and you want to put on a good show and a good presentation, but at the same time, they're also human beings at the end of the day. So,
Yeah, that's really it. It's not a competition. It's not about egos. Like you're not battling for relevance. You're in the room to solve a problem. Like yes, it's intimidating. Like I've walked into meetings with customers and the C-suite is in the room, and you're like, "Whoa, why am I in this room?" But it's because they want to hear what you have to say. So tell them what you think. Don't just read facts and state facts and whatever. It's people want to know what you think about the information, and it's I don't know what else I could say there. That's part of building your brand is being recognized and communicating clearly and showing what makes you unique and why your perspective brings value to the room.
Yeah. Well, and the pivot from that, Kurt,
Pivot
what
to the
it
pivot.
yeah, pivot to the pivot. You have to build your pivot story, right? Your
Yes.
career pivot story. Like, what advice could you give?
Especially like when you're making a change like this, everyone is going to question it. So, like, why now? Like, why do you want to do this? And if you say, well, I don't know, it pays well, they're gonna be like, all right, you're just chasing money. You're not actually in this to be passionate or do it. Like, yes, we work because we need to earn a living and get a paycheck. That's part of it. But we want to do things that we enjoy. And so when someone says, well, why are you interested in changing from whatever line of work you're in, if you're a teacher, because I talked about the math teacher. You want to get into engineering or security. Well, why? You like the logic, you like solving problems, you like kind of figuring things out. Like I tinker, I do a lot of DIY. If something breaks, I fix it. And that's why my hand is half broken right now. Um, Pay the price for not paying attention. But it's people need to understand why you want to make the change. It's not always about the money. Yes, that's part of it, but what I want to see in people is that never-ending curiosity. I want to solve problems. I want to explore things. I want to figure things out, and I want to build new stuff and do it more effectively. Whether it's streamlining a current process, building a new process, writing code. Like there's a million things you could do in this profession, but you can't do it without just relentless curiosity.
It's very true.
And you need to be able to convey that. So again, communication is key. Like in the leadership ranks, I mean, the more words you say, the easier it is to lose people. And I think about because I have a child who watch Bluey. There's an episode where they say if you talk too long, kids switch off. And then it moves on to the parent just saying blah blah blah, random words, blah blah blah. It
That's
keeps going.
great.
It's true in work, it's true with children, it's true with a lot of different scenarios. So craft a concise story about why you want to make the switch, what's motivating it, and how your current experience plays it into it and shows that you have strength already prepared for this industry.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would say you can always compound this story. Even people who I hire, I always ask them, "What's your cybersecurity like story?" Right? What made you want to get into cybersecurity? Right? And I have multiple of those, but for example, I can give you mine, so everyone's gonna, if I was this, to be like, "What's an example?" Right? For me, my example is because I was formerly a dev, and I got this question asked all the time, like, "Why are you making? Why you were a dev? Now you want to be a cybersecurity expert or an engineer?" And I was like, "Yeah." Well, I was like, "Well, when I was growing up, I." um, learned, or my friend's family, they locked him out of his router at a certain time so that he couldn't play video games. And so I first learned, we all went over to his house and we figured out that you could essentially port forward over other ports, and we bypassed the security mechanism and he could play video games with us all night again, right? And so I learned that we can bypass controls right then and there. And that stuck with me. And I always was interested in cybersecurity. And so when I was in college, there wasn't that many mechanisms or information to know that I wanted to be in application or ProdSec, right? I
Yeah.
didn't know that I wanted to be in product security or that I could be a DevSecOps engineer. I didn't know these things. All I knew is really, because that's what everyone talked about, was pen testing. And so I was like, well, first I'll be a developer and then I'll somehow do cybersecurity as a developer. And so I went and bid in developer and I slowly learned, oh, there's this whole other field called application security. I'm probably going to like that. It's going to combine application security and application security and coding, my two favorite passions. Boom.
Yep.
And then so that's why I'm applying today. That's why I'm talking to whoever I'm interviewing with, because I have a genuine passion for both sides of it. And that's my cybersecurity pivot story, right? And that is a story that's entertaining, talks to my character, talks about what I want to do and why I'm here today and why I'm pivoting in this direction. So everybody has, a point where they have to pivot in one way or another. In cybersecurity in general, everybody usually comes into cybersecurity adjacently. Majority of people
Yeah.
come in with relative inexperience or relative gear. There's very few people I know who are like, I graduated college and I got into cybersecurity. There's not many of
I don't
that.
think I've no, it's like cybersecurity wasn't even like a major or
Yeah,
a thing
same.
when we were in college, and now it is. Like you can go get a cybersecurity degree at a handful of schools, but for us it was like computer science or electrical and computer engineering was another one we ran into a lot. And then like I did security focused coursework and got into hacking, and I know I've talked a bit about that in previous episodes, where like one of my projects was hacking Bluetooth links. I like to break stuff, and I was the bad guy to some degree. And then when I went out into the professional world, I was like, well, I'll put that to work, but for good.
Yeah.
And did military contracting, which was fun and interesting, and got to see some cool stuff, built some cool stuff. And outside of that, it's always kind of got this attacker mindset. Like, how do I poke a hole in that and make it do something different? I've always, for whatever reason, wanted to do that. And so that's kind of what led me here.
Yeah. So, I mean, the which I think everything we've been leading up is to this point, right? I've mentioned it multiple times. I think you have mentioned it multiple times. The reality of anybody pivoting, like if you're a nurse pivoting into cybersecurity, or a teacher going to pivot in there, or you're working in sales, right? When I was in college, I worked at Nordstrom's and sold suits. Um, that's also part of your story. You can talk about that, right? In cybersecurity, you have to sell cybersecurity in your own teams, but
Yes.
beyond that, networking is going to literally be, I would say, how I feel is the number one way you get it, because at the end of the day, here's the
Yeah.
cold hard truth and the cold hard fact. Do you want to say it or do you want me to say
Go for it.
it? The cold hard fact
Do the
is,
honors.
yeah, do the honors. I don't know, is that someone's going to have to take a chance on you. And the question is how do you get that chance? Right? But at the end of the day, you're going to have to get a chance. And as I was prepping for this, I know me and Kurt were just back and forth texting, and I was thinking about this for a long time. And in my experience in hiring, back when we were hiring a ton, I would open a position and I would get that, like, I probably like hundreds, literally hundreds, and we had to pull down the job posting because there's just too many people applied. And you have hundreds of resumes. You have to think about, how do I filter that from a perspective, right? And I don't have I don't have the time to go through 500-600 resumes and give everybody a decent chance. Like, I wish I had that time in the world, but I just don't. Right? I can delegate that out, but that's still that's somebody else's problem. Just because I say it's my problem, there's other people that should delegating any kind of question. Most often, these resumes get filtered by a degree or a relative job
Yeah.
history experience, right? And what we're talking about today, you'd essentially be cut right there, which is truly, truly unfortunate. But that's the state of the world that you're fighting in. And so that's what really comes to, is that you're going to have to find how you get that chance on you. So
It's
networking.
even worse. Like the AI filter. Like, come on.
Oh yeah, yeah. I
The
didn't want to
AI
get into
filter
that
is
yet.
well, it's the sheer reality. Like if you're applying, this stupid filter is applied, and it's people that don't understand what they're looking for applying these filters, and it's garbage.
Yep.
So I'm on the other side of this. Like I open a rec, I'm like, I don't want you to filter out anyone really. Now now I've created a problem for myself because I have 500 resumes. What do I do with that? You start skimming stuff. Now, am I going to look at all 500? No, but I'm gonna look for something up front that kind of tells me your story. Like if you have an intro that tells me, hey, I'm not a cybersecurity person, but I've done this, this, and this, and I'm interested in doing this, this, and this is why. Now I'm like, all right, I actually want to pick this person's brain.
Well, a majority of resumes that we see don't even have that section at the top,
No, it just
right? So
goes
they don't even have
straight
it,
into skills. And I'm like,
right?
okay,
Yeah, it's true. It's
you know,
100%
C++,
true.
me too.
Yeah, yeah, right. I think like general advice that people should understand is that the first, I don't know what, 25% of your resume is the most important part of your resume.
Absolutely. Like
So
I beyond that first half a page, like my attention is like talking to a child. Like my attention span goes in the toilet. It's gone. But now I try to read all of it, but again, like strapped for time or there's a new shiny, someone's got a problem, they want your attention. It's constantly happening. Like I can't even respond to all of my team's messages in a day, man. Like
yeah,
reading a resume is a challenge for me sometimes. Or it's like in Ted Lasso, like be a goldfish. My memory lasts for 7 seconds and then I'm on to the next thing.
yeah,
Um, but in that first half a page, it's like when they teach us to write a paper. Your introduction has to grasp the attention. Do you need the same thing on a resume? Like I want to know your name. If you have a LinkedIn, great. I'm going to go search for it anyway. And then I want to know what you're about. And that's tell your story in 4 to 5 sentences max and lead into the experience. And okay, if you got my attention, I'm going to go further.
yeah. I mean, it's very true. And then it then pivots into the networking part, right? You're gonna have to get
Right.
somebody to get that chance on
Networking,
you. So networking is
absolutely.
huge.
Makes it so much easier because you can have a conversation with people. You can, like, based on your LinkedIn posts, or I get messages from people like, based on your posts, like they want to talk to me about such and such. Half the time they want to sell me something and I don't have money. I don't want to buy it. $0, man. But if you're a practitioner or an interested person, you want to have a conversation that's about zero trust or identity or that podcast that I was on the other day, like whatever it may be. And like, all right, let's talk, let's be friends. And you have the opportunity to build a rapport. And now your resume is not all you have to tell your story. And now you can ask for referrals if people are at interesting companies, or I have a network of people. And if I know someone's hiring and I talk to Bob or Nancy the other day and like, hey, they would actually be really good for that position. You should talk to them. And now it becomes much easier to get a footing.
Yeah. And it's about meeting people in the career set, right? So attend local meetups. All the time I go to meetups. I go to meetups literally all the time because I like going and listening to stories, meeting professionals, networking. I like networking just because I'm in the field, I have a position. I have to network. I have to understand and know people. So if I want to make a career change or anything, I'm well suited and put myself in the best position. So going to local meetups, going to local conferences, attending these things, and the hardest part of these things is going to be getting out of your skin and shaking hands and talking with people. And you're going to be doing that with a bunch of other introverts who are going to be just as complacent and happy as you are to not talk to them, right?
Yep.
They're literally all going to, but they're going to be friendly if you do strike up a conversation. So nobody's going to
Yep.
bite, but that is going to be, I mean, for me, every one of my jobs that I've ever gotten has been networked. I've never gotten a job by going to a site and being like, boom, apply. My first
Yeah.
job was from my friend's family member. My second job, I was literally attending the meetups, went and talked, didn't even know I was talking to the hiring manager. I was talking about their position and how absurd their job posting was. And I was frustrated about it. And then we talked about cybersecurity for like another hour. And then he was like, hey, I'm the CISO of this company. And I was like, oh,
Whoops.
whoops. And he was like, do you have a resume? And I was like, I do. I brought one. And then I gave him my resume. And at the end of that was a Tuesday. By the end of the week, I had a job offer on Friday. So really awesome experience. And then from there, it was just again network and network and network. Someone was like, hey, we have a job posting. I think it'd be perfect for you. Come interview. And I was like, sure. So literally networking as a professional has been how I land every job. You talk to other professionals, very similar story. Very
Yeah.
similar story.
I hear all these stories about the frustrations of like I sent out 800 applications, never hear anything because no one's reading the resumes or the system is overwhelmed because 3,000 people are applying to every job. But like if you get a referral or if you've talked to the person or like know someone that's on the team or connected to them, like it's so much easier. And it's kind of that old school, like it's all about who you know, right? Like I hate to think that it's actually like that, but it sure seems that way today. It's frustrating because if you want to branch out and you don't know anybody, like what do?
Yeah.
You got to find your way to those people. And so like local conferences, I know sometimes they cost an exorbitant amount of money and it becomes an investment at that point. I don't like to pay out of pocket for those either, but sometimes if the agenda is great or the speakers look great, like it's worth it. um, and I mean, all of these again, it's a learning experience. Just like every interview is a learning experience, networking is a learning experience because you get different perspectives and you learn different points of view on different topics, and so it shapes you as a security professional.
Yep.
And so if I go to a threat modeling conference, I don't know everything there is to know about threat modeling. I do a ton of it. I want to rip them all in half. You know me. It's like, but I want to talk to the experts. I want to talk to the people who have written books on this and understand the way they think and ask them the questions because then I can build a relationship with them.
Yeah,
And you
exactly.
never know when it's gonna come back and pay dividends. Like that shouldn't be the only motivator. Transactional relationships don't carry the value. It's the real authentic relationships where you have productive conversations and get to know people as professionals or even on a personal level that end up paying off.
Yeah. And like when you're at these meetups, you can always, it doesn't always have to be a job focused mentality, as you were saying. One of the best things you can do is you can ask people, would you take your time to do a mock interview with me? Would
Yeah.
you, would you be like, hey, could I message you on like a Saturday? Could we jump in a Discord call for 30 minutes and you just grill me for 30 minutes? Take me through an actual interview, because then when you actually nail the interview, you are going to be so much better. And I always tell anybody I meet at meetups, I'm like, let me know. We'll sort it out. Right. Most of the time, I'm one like people come to me and they think they're like, I don't want to do that. I'm like, what do you mean? I usually have to message them, be like, hey, when are we doing this mock interview? Like, when are we doing it? Because I mean, for me, I love interviews. It's so much fun. So I'm the opposite. I'm always the person. Anything I hate, I make sure I learn to love it, because everything you hate is usually the things that are going to make your career grow. So I love interviews. I love giving them. I love going through them, being a part of them. I'm a crazy person, but you need to do that, and people would love to interview, even if it's a bad interview. At least you're getting all your bad interviews, you're getting your this you're getting good at selling yourself. And only in that
Yeah.
instance can you really truly sell yourself, right? When you're on the clock, right? You could even ask your friends. You could be like, hey, even if it's non-technical friend, you'd be like, hey, can you do me a solid? I'll take you out to lunch. Here's a list of questions. Here's a list of like answers that people would expect. Ask me these questions and grill me. Even that, I guarantee you, is going to make you better at your job in whatever way. But that leads me into the other thing I want to say, which Tanya Janka, every Monday on her LinkedIn, she does it on like LinkedIn and X, and I think even on Blue Sky. I think it's like all her
It's
platforms.
everywhere.
Yeah, she's everywhere. She throws like hashtag mentoring Monday, all one word, or sorry, Cyber Mentoring Monday. If you look that up on LinkedIn, you'll see her threads, and every Monday she throws it up there. And there's people sometimes, like, sure, sometimes there's not many people who comment, sometimes there's more than others, but throw your name up there and be like, hey, I'm XYZ, I'm pivoting from this career, I'm this. Does anybody have any advice? Does anybody want to mentor me? Any of those things, right? You could even say on there, would anyone be welcome or be okay with doing a mock interview so I can just practice, right? I guarantee you somebody is going to reach out to you. Maybe it won't be right away, but do it again the next Monday, right?
Yeah.
Be consistent.
Persistence.
Yeah, persistence, right? That is
Don't
how
give
you're
up.
gonna. That's literally how, and it's gonna show other people that people care, right? You can practice your elevator pitch. You can practice your pivot,
Yep.
conversation. You can practice all these things, but finding a way with one of these things, I guarantee you, it's going to make things better.
Well, it's quite literally a skill too.
Yep.
Like I was not great at interviews like in my early career, and the more you do it, the more you practice. It's like you're building the muscle memory,
Yep.
and you get better and you hone it as you go. Like, listen to yourself when you talk and remember it. And I mean, the podcast you maybe watched yesterday was like, ask them for feedback at the end of the interview. Like, what could I have done better, and get it from them directly if they're willing to share. Because I can tell you right now, the HR people or the talent acquisition folks, they're going to call you and say yes or no. They're not going to say, hey, this is what you could have done better.
Yeah.
It's very rare that that happens. And even when it does, it's minimal.
Yeah. 100%. And I think that's one thing. If you ever land an interview, at the end, make sure you have a billion questions to ask. Literally a
Yes.
billion questions.
The curiosity.
You should have a billion. And your first question could be like, I would never say in the interview, like, what did I do wrong or what could I do better in this interview? You have to change what you're saying. And if they asked you like this scenario and be like, hey, I answered this way, from your perspective, what would have been a better answer? Right? Or what would have been your answer? Right? Think of ways to turn the question, because you're talking to introverts most likely in these interviews, and they're just as introvert as you are. So you don't want to ask pointed questions. You want to ask inviting, welcoming questions. And you turn your question onto something, in a way that makes them open up. Pro tip, you can go ask ChatGPT, I have these questions. How do I reverse these in a polite, introvert way that makes it feel welcoming? Guarantee you'll get a whole bunch of different ways to ask this question. Find what resonates with you, write them down, ask the questions, but
Yeah.
get that feedback. Get it in a nice positive way. Guarantee you that's going to make a huge difference too. And then lastly, follow up with the recruiters. It is okay to message
Yes.
these recruiters. Recruiters, what do? They're extroverts. They are people who are just used to talking to people. And what do they do all day? They find other people, they look for people, they hunt for people. They are literally a people person. It is okay to message them. Don't message them every day, but maybe every three
Yeah, give
days
them a little bit of
or
time.
yeah,
They're
give it a
busy
little
too.
time, right? Yeah, they're busy too. But if you haven't heard from
Definitely
them a
within
week,
a week.
yeah, if you haven't heard from 'em a week, be like, "Hey, I really enjoyed this conversation. It was a good thing. I really, I checked out the company a little more. I'm interested. What's the status? What's my status?"
Yeah.
It's okay to do those things. You don't I don't know, it's not like you're dating them and you're playing this weird game, right? Like, you can totally do that. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah, at the very least, they remember you. Like, this person reached out. Like, I got to follow up with them or whatever. And like, the worst they can do is say no or not respond. Right. But at least you went out and you tried, did everything you could.
Yeah. I really wanna hammer this segment home, which is networking. Again, this is going to be literally the most powerful part of getting a job. So please, please,
Even if you're
please.
already in the industry.
Mhm. If you're an industry person, you're still going to have to network 100,000%. It's the biggest advice I tell everybody. Brand, your pivot story, just stories in general, and then networking. Get that networking in there 1,000%. Go to local meetups, go to regional there's even virtual meetups all the time. There are virtual things where you can
Yeah.
join in like a Discord with a couple people where they're studying topics, or it's just a virtual meetup. There are things you can do to start networking and getting yourself out there. Practice communicating with strangers. As much as strangers danger, you're gonna have to start practicing that. Cyber Mondays, practice all these different things, and then you'll build authentic relationships out of shared interests. Maybe you start getting referrals from that. Maybe you get practice mock interviews, whatever. You got to just practicing and flex this skill and continuous build it. Once you land the job, that's not the end. This is something you're going to do for the rest of your life and their career. Network, network, network.
It's funny that you give this advice, because I actually had someone reach out to me on LinkedIn last night, and they did exactly this. Student at a university reached out. I think they probably found me through someone I had hired previously, but they asked just outright, "I'd love for 15 minutes of your time to talk about your career and gain some insight from your experience." Like, I love talking to people that want to be in this industry, because I mean, I'll come right out and say one of the best hires I ever made was an intern I had last year.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah, yeah, I know.
talk
I know
about
who you're
someone who
talking about.
was driven, persistent, like, and I'd love to tell that story because he wasn't my top choice.
Mm,
And I decided that I wanted to take a chance on him because the story that I saw in his resume intrigued me. And now I have another person that I can reach out to and get a unique perspective from, or if he's looking for my perspective, like it's the power of networking.
yeah,
But going beyond the network being one of the most powerful tools, we still have to talk about the skills.
yeah, yeah. I can kick us off here. So on LinkedIn, I recommend. I'm all over LinkedIn, especially any AppSec, ProdSec, DevSecOps like threads. I'm constantly on there commenting, throwing my opinion out there, good or bad. Spicy hot takes. I've gotten plenty of downvotes, and I'm like, the industry. You'll get back to this, and then you'll be like, oh, Cameron's right on this because he was 10 steps ahead of me. Um,
We need the thumbs down on LinkedIn for Cameron hot takes.
yeah, it's seriously, it's gonna
I want to
happen.
see one of these. I haven't seen one yet.
I'll send you some of my downvotes. Yeah, I'll send you some downvotes. I got a lot of upvotes, so I'm very swimming in those.
Yeah,
But every now and then someone doesn't see my perspective, and I'm like, yeah, it's fair, it's fair. We're all allowed to. But what
I
I
think I
always
know of one recently.
what I always tell people to get into like ProdSec, AppSec, DevSecOps, even some cloud security. My recommendations always lean more towards code because that's my background. That's what I love and that's what I passion. So I always tell people read Alice and Bob Learn Application Security. It's by Tanya Janka. She wrote the book. It's amazing. There's an audiobook. There's I think it's on Kindle, so you can actually physically. I have the physical book behind me. It is written. I have it. Yeah, I tore that book up in terms of writing everywhere. She just released another book, Alice and Bob Learn Secure Coding. Another super dense. That one's way more dense. Alice and Bob, or the application security one, not so dense. It's a good high level thing. It's actually on my team. I make everybody read that book. That's the first 2 weeks of their job is just reading that book.
Does everyone still teach in terms of Alice and Bob? Like I remember taking cryptography classes and it was always like Alice and Bob and whatever other random friend or two,
I don't
depending on how
know.
many bad guys and good people were in the conversation.
I don't know if this is my brain or if she actually said this, but because Tanya Janka, she grew up in that more like Bob and Alice, world where it was like always Bob and Alice, and so she
Yeah.
put Alice and Bob with the woman first. Loved that, and so yeah, I think that's her nod to be like taking it back or in whatever which way, but I love the books. They're really good, great learning books. And then I always tell people check out Jim Manico. You just throw Jim Manico application security, security in YouTube, and you'll have a billion different talks. Check out anyone that takes your fancy. Same with Tanya. Tanya has a ton of different talks on YouTube. Go watch any of those, spark your interest. They're both very good speakers. Way to tell a story. Listen to how they speak all the time. I will listen to like Jim talk or Tanya, and I am writing notes on like how they told something or what was the story. How did they take me through this? And how did 45 minutes disappear in my life? Because I have no idea. There's so many talkers out there. 45 minutes can feel like an eternity. With them, I'm like, we're already over? That's not fair. I wanted another 45 minutes, right? Like the way they take you on the journey, it is just they literally take you on a journey. I always say you got to have cloud experience. So I always tell people like, hey, if you're looking for a cloud cert, AWS CCP is a really good entry level cert. Get your feet wet. It's just a good exposure. You can always take more in depth, but that cert is I would say just foundation. And then from a technical hands on, this is stuff you can put on literally on your GitHub. Learn to code, right? So you could put a folder called Learn and Go, and then go through all the exercises, put all the probing challenges in there, put a write up at the end, put a README in that folder saying, hey, this is what I learned over this thing, blah, 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 blah. There's other languages. You could do any of the languages you want. I always tell people after to take like maybe a full stack course because understanding how back end, front end, all of it comes together, APIs, anything like that. I always tell people to learn like a more automation like language like Python or Go, because you're going to do a lot of API to API scripts. You're going to be talking to devs, so understanding how full stack works and how general programming concepts work is going to be key. There's some great free courses on AI. There's TCM Academy. So if you look at TCM Security Academy, they have an AI fundamentals course. Really great course. Take it. It's free. A lot of great learning from TCM. Then Google, MCP server, MCP security, AI agent security, and so on. Get curious about that. I'm almost done, I promise. And then from the DevSecOps application security side, build a pipeline. A lot of people think that they can't build a pipeline. I just actually shared a huge list. Somebody posted, and then somebody gave me even another list of free open source tools like free SAST, SEA, DAS, container scanning, secret scanner, literally all industry, actual enterprise tools. Build your own pipeline, right? Build something that when you commit code, it scans it through all these different checks. It develops a report, spits out in a summary. Maybe you throw that into AI somehow. Maybe you have it spit into some kind of, into ChatGPT, and then it spits out something into there. I don't know. You can always throw something in there, but build a pipeline. You can do that in GitHub. You could set it up in Jenkins and do your own server and have it locally on your local PC if you want. But build that out, but architect it, right? Build an architecture graph, a threat model maybe, right? Build something out showing how you build it. Talk about README, talk about every step, why you did everything, where you put everything, how it conforms to like a secure SDLC. All this literally in your GitHub. This is all shown. This is progress. This is what engineers do today. This is what people on my team do today. So if you're showing that skill, that is 10,000 steps ahead because you're already using industry tooling. You understand how pipelines work. You're building a home lab. You're showing that on your resume. And the last thing I always say, learn some hacking. Because at the end of the day, so many times you're going to be having a conversation with a dev or somebody, and they're going to be like, this isn't a vulnerability. Or they're going to say, prove it. It is crucial to have a skill to go prove it. All the time. I've had plenty of times where I'll show them a video of me breaking, back when I was much more hands-on keyboard, I would show them a video of me exploiting their app and being like, hey, is this supposed to happen? And they're like, no, you're not supposed to do that. And I'm like, I know. So can we fix it now? Thank you. Off my soapbox.
Like, if you just gave the speech, I'm like, what am I supposed to say? You just said like everything in ProdSec. You just said what Cameron said. The threat modeling thing is, I want to harp on that for a minute. I know I do a lot of it. My team does a ton of it, and I poke holes in these things all day because we do it, architectures, data flows, all of it. But threat modeling is at the base of basically everything we do in security.
On the
You just don't
10.
realize it.
Secure design.
You can't build anything if you don't design it securely, right? So it's like, if you design it insecurely, of course you're going to have problems. But you know where you're going to find those problems? If you actually take the time to put a threat model on the page that translates through the whole process. You could do it after something's already built too. It's just highly inefficient. You could threat model your pipeline. I think we talked about this in our cloud security piece, or maybe it was the SPVS. As an architect, I feel like we never threat model pipelines. Like, that's where you need to be threat modeling today, because everything is being built by code. So go learn infrastructure as code, learn coding languages, the popular ones. Cameron just rattled them off. And then you can have these conversations with devs. Even in architecture land, people are like, you're not going to be able to break that. I'm like, what? I just did. Like, don't tempt me. I will test my team's abilities as hackers and send them after your application, because that's the fun part.
Sure.
And we 9 times out of 10, we break it to prove the point. And all it did was slow us down like 3 days, but we had some fun in the process. So,
well, and red teaming is always a good time. You learn a lot about your app and some of the most devastating vulnerabilities. I think we talked about it in our pen testing episode, which was around that some of the most shocking vulnerabilities in that one that I found my team was never from a pen tester. It was from us internally red teaming our team. But number 6 on the OS Top 10 2025 is insecure design. In there says threat modeling, designing your application, secure by design from day one.
That's right.
It's table stakes.
I've probably said that I've been in my current role for going on 4 years, and I can't tell you how many times I've had to stress that point. So that, I'll say it till I'm dead. I
can tell you're hitting your desk. I can hear your mic.
Security at the start. I'm hitting this stress ball thing that I got at some leadership meeting.
You're taking it out on it. That's fair. All right, and it's just time.
Go
All right.
for it.
It's
What's
just
next?
time.
We're talking about AI, right?
AI. Yeah. So we're very much in the
Always
world of
AI.
AI. I know, but it's
How
it's
do you
it's
spell it? I'm kidding.
A and an I. It's done. Do I need to draw it for you now? I'll get out paint and
Yes.
draw it for you.
Make it look like an airplane.
Yeah, make it like an airplane. That'll be difficult. I'll get it done though. But AI, dude, AI is huge, right? AI is you have to have somewhere on your resume talking about AI.
Yes. It's table
Somewhere
stakes
in
now.
your it's table stakes, yeah. Somewhere in your project you have to talk about AI. You have to do it. One thing I just want to say randomly about AI, and this is because I posted on LinkedIn about it. If you're using AI, make sure you're learning at the end of the day. AI has this amazing ability to make you do, but you lose like today and age, a lot of engineers lose the struggle part where all the
Not
real learning
thinking.
is because all you can do is just ask AI, how do I do XYZ task? Okay, this is how you do it. And what do? You just do it. You never ask the AI, is there three better ways to do this? Is there, why would I do this? What's the bigger picture on doing this, right? Think about the macro view, random thing, but make sure that you're writing that. If you're doing some project, think about the macro. Put that on in your LinkedIn or your GitHub. But AI is huge. It's becoming so much a part of security in every which way, right? Every single security tool is dropping AI just as much as devs are building AI. We have to secure AI. We have to use AI
Yes.
because it's just a force multiplier in a lot of good ways. Sure, there's a lot of issues and
There's a
problems
lot of
and
bad to it,
yeah,
but
there's
there's
a lot of
more
bad to it,
good.
but there's a lot of really good to it at the end of the day too, around how it can make you more productive in any which way. So make sure in one way or another in your resume, your projects, something. Kurt, what
Well,
else?
I can't. I want to stress the point. Like, think about it. Like you said think a lot, and I think a lot of people are using AI. They're not thinking about what's coming out of it. They just take it and go run with it. Like, AI hallucinates. It makes stuff up all the time. I've talked about this previously too, where I fed it one of the big security reports and I asked it questions about statistics I had already read in that report. It got them wrong every freaking time.
Yeah.
Like, AI by default is untrusted in the space in which we operate. I don't care how many MCP servers you attach to it, how much knowledge it has been trained on. It's been trained on garbage as much as it's been trained on good information.
Yeah.
So do not trust it. That's why we say trust but verify still applies. Think about what you're doing and use your brain on that output to validate it or take it and make it better, ask a better question, refine your prompt. Prompt engineering is real. So as context engineering, we could probably talk about both of those for a whole 45 minutes at a time, if not longer. But I cannot stress enough that you need to think and not lose the wonderful ability you have with that brain because of AI. AI is an accelerator. It will not do everything for you without some thought.
Yeah. And I mean, you said everything. The
You're
Make sure you
welcome.
step
Now
out
you
of
know how it
AI too.
feels.
Step. I was gonna say step out of AI. Don't troll solely trust it. Right. You're gonna have to verify that. And the big problem I see is people who are learning something new. They indirectly use AI because they have this subconscious because you're using it maybe to do grammar. Maybe you're using it to reformulate a sentence, right? And it's really good at doing that. And so it becomes easy to trust the AI. And so then you start to be like, oh, well, I'll ask it questions about like XYZ, right? Then you forget that it's actually not at that good at a lot of things. So make sure that you, because you're not an expert, you can't read that, right? When I ask AI, hey, give me a report on XYZ, I'm an expert. So I can spot, oh, this is full, it's full of BS right here. It's giving
Yep.
me garbage. But I know that because I already have a wealth of knowledge and understanding. For somebody who's new and pivoting and trying to get in this career, you're not going to have that. So you can't trust everything it's spitting at you as gold and trustworthy. Validate it. Go do the research. Go look at other documents. Go look at other wiki pages. Go look at other people's blogs, vendors' blog pages. I always tell people vendors have a treasure trove of information in their blogs. Sure, you're going to have to sift through a lot of selling, but they also have a treasure trove of like summaries, guidance, because what their whole point is selling. They have to make money, and the only way they make money is by delivering a product that is industry adopted and used and effective. Go read those things. Go on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's gonna have a ton of blogs where people are talking about it. So AI, definitely use it, include it in your projects. And I think we're on the last segment. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're pushing the clock here, trying to keep these to a certain length.
Gotta keep all
So
the hot takes, no hot takes.
yeah, it wouldn't be coffee chaos and ProdSec without the hot takes, man.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised I got that right without tripping over my words. But separating, differentiating yourself, I should say. I don't want to say separating winners from losers. That's not nice. But what makes people stand out? How do you stand out when you're pursuing a transition into ProdSec? And I think we've already, there's a lot of themes that come out of this episode, right? Like you can showcase your story and how your prior experience builds up and applies to ProdSec, and be able to articulate that concisely, and then go and exercise the skills, do the trainings, get a cert. I mean, certs are whatever. I don't put too much value in them. It's more about the learning, and the curiosity always differentiates people and makes them stand out, to be able to show that you want to learn and you have this like desire for knowledge that just never ends. Whether you use AI or not to get it, I don't care, as long as it's useful. Um, and then the other little things like ask for feedback, follow up after interviews, like make sure you're at the top of people's minds. Write blog posts, post on LinkedIn. You read an article, you hated it for X, Y, and Z reason. That's going to get someone's attention. Just always lead with the hot take because it gets more attention that way.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a breath. Cameron, what else?
I want to reiterate that you're climbing a mountain. So for me, I want to make sure we end this on that mentality that you are climbing a mountain, and every day is going to be, you might take a step, but every day you're taking a step. So if you're selling suits like I did when I was selling suits when I was in college, I sold suits. When I was on breaks, I was doing calculus, right? I was doing my math homework for college. When I was a monster scaring people for Halloween in my break room. Everybody else is like, having fun, chilling. I was over there doing calculus or physics homework or writing a paper. The grind is going to be the grind. You're gonna grind.
Absolutely.
You're gonna have to somehow be internally motivated. I was talking to one of my friends because I showed him my calendar and my day to day. I had literally planned every single hour in my calendar. I'll show you this later, Kurt. I'll send it to you. I
Oh boy.
literally had planned, like, here's the time I hang out with my wife. She was, my girlfriend at the time, but I was like, here's the time I do this. Here's the time I sleep. Here's the time I work out. Here's the time I'm working. Here's the time I'm resting. Here's the time for, all these things. I literally had every hour for the entire week scheduled, and I lived my life by that calendar. I lived every moment because I knew I was on a grind and I wanted to be somewhere. I am still living by a calendar. I'm still living by that same mentality because I am still hungry, right? And so everybody, you have to stay hungry. And again, the only time you fail is when you stop.
Yeah.
I've failed interviews, right? I told you when we started, I applied to like 500 jobs back when there were tons of jobs and their opportunity was rife. I got like 5 interviews and failed them all, right? Literally failed. But I did not fail because I got the career. I got the chance. I networked. I made the chances. I created my opportunity. It took forever, but it was all worth it. So all I'm saying is you're going to have to mentally be okay with being rejected, that it's going to be hard, that maybe you're going to have to work somewhere else for a little while. But if you're hungry and you want this, fight for it.
I think to that point too, because I feel like a lot of people are going to, or tend to, put the perfect role on a pedestal and say, this is the end game. This is where I want to be, like, immediately. The whole instant gratification. This is a journey. You're climbing a mountain. It's a journey. You're running a marathon, whatever you like. You're building the front door to the house. And because we got to talk about front doors and get a hot take out of Cameron, I don't care what it is, but it's about progress, not always about perfection. So if you can't land that perfect ProdSec role off the bat, maybe you land something else, whether it's in as a security engineer or a DevSecOps person or whatever GRC person. Get your foot into the world of security and evolve from there.
Yeah. Or apply adjacently, right? Maybe,
Yes.
we should have mentioned this. I have so many ideas coming in now. Maybe you join the company because you go work on their project management team, right? And so you make
Yeah.
friends with the InfoSec team and try to get referrals that way and communicate, because people love internal hires, right? Again,
Absolutely.
we talked about this in the beginning. You're going to have to find a way to get a chance on you, and that chance is going to have to come from somebody who trusts you and is willing to take that chance on you. So if you can come in adjacently, that is also another thing. Look at other opportunities and ways to pivot in and get in there. Still do a great job in the job you're doing, but even again, as we're saying, most people come in adjacently. So try to
There
find
is
that
no
way.
one clear path. It's a
Yeah.
winding path.
Yeah.
If you get a straight path, great.
Yeah.
But often you have to, there's a few zigzags along the way. But
All right.
regardless, you have to stay tough and stay in the fight, do the work, and don't quit. All right, Cameron, take us home.
All right. Well, I think we've, definitely dived through this. It's funny that it's already an hour and 10 minutes. I can't believe I thought this one would be 45, but I guess there's a lot to say. So please reach out to us. Again, if you have any other questions, if you're struggling through this, you can reach out to me and Kurt on LinkedIn. Find us, go to your local OS chapters, go to your meetings, branch out, practice that extrovert, network, become friends with other people, listen to podcasts, do other things, whatever you're doing. But I appreciate that you joined us here on Coffee, Chaos, and ProdSec. Please go smash, hit the follow button, like us, give us the 5 stars. All these things really help for us in our podcast and kind of what we're trying to build here. But I appreciate that you're here listening. I hope this was helpful. If you have any other ideas, maybe we'll have a part 3 of this. We'll see.
Yeah.
And, we're always welcome to, maybe it's next year, right? We'll give it some time when we see the atmosphere and where things kind of maybe changed or landed. But good luck on your journey. There's a ton of people out there welcome to help you. You got this. I promise. It's Coffee Chaos, ProdSec.